Hello, everyone, and welcome again to AI in Real Estate. Here is where I share practical examples on how you can deploy AI in order to make your life easier, in order to work smarter, not harder in real estate. And for today's use case, I'm going to give an example from a pain that I had back in my acquisitions that I think not only me, every team that does acquisitions and underwriting go through, and that is screening deals. I used to get a lot of deals every week, and I didn't have time to go through all of them or to give the proper attention in order to choose the best ones to move forward. So let's jump in. And for today's use case, I'm gonna use Leni, which you probably know from my past videos. And there are two reasons why I wanna use Leni today. Leni is a persistent agentic model. What it means? Persistent means that you don't need to babysit Leni to go back and forth with questions to get what you want. Leni will do the task from the beginning to the end, will deliver you a complete task from the beginning to the end. And the second thing is that Leni is an agentic model. It combines its own mathematical models with the leading LLMs out there, bringing the best of all of them together. So let's dive in. So let's do this. I'm gonna upload a deal from my old acquisitions days, a real deal. And this was a student housing project for a value add. And let's ask Leni the following. Let's start simple here. There you go. So all this information coming from the scene, a summary of the deal, an asset overview, the year and bad mix. Okay, good. In place operations, pro forma and numbers from the scene, debt and capital stack. Okay, key metrics. Yes, we don't have the purchase price or going in cap rate. Okay, and also giving market context. Really good because I didn't ask for this, but it's giving market context. Okay, large student base, rental fundamentals. What is vacancy? Supply, long-term, and transaction. Okay, good. And risks to flag. This is super important. Refinancing, lease up, rent reversion, near-term competitive supply. It also gives me if it's high, medium, or low. Interesting. Upsides, good to know. And where should be the due diligence focus? That's great. It even gave me a deliver a PDF file, which I didn't ask for. Let's see. Executive summary, asset overview, unit bad mix. Oh, a good summary of everything here that I can share with anyone I want. Sometimes it's pretty good if you want to forward to, your teams in order to make sure if it makes sense or not. That's really good, actually. Capital stack and all of that. Really good. Let's take a step further now. And let's ask if let's do a full market research. Let's see. And there we go. Let's see our market research. Okay, for Ottawa student housing, he delivered a PDF report, takeaways from that, structured student demand, limited on campus coverage, that's fair, I remember that, micro location support renting and roommate living, transit is an investable edge for Little Italy, okay, near-term demand volatility, Ottawa rental fundamentals are tight, capital markets, okay. There are some, explaining also some headwinds, but let's see the report itself. Okay. It's a 24-page report. Interesting. Summary, confidential, table of contents. So executive summary, market definition, investment thesis, region economy, demographics, university fundamentals, student housing supply, rental fundamentals, development pipeline, transit and infrastructure, regulatory and policy environment, capital markets, okay, operating amenity, rent growth, demand, SWOT analysis, key investment drivers and risks, okay, underwriting implication, due diligence, and reference. Okay, quite impressive, like the amount of, information he brought in. Okay, all the executive summary. All right. How capital markets. Okay. Market definitions. Investment fees for PBSA. Okay, structural undersupply, strong employment, population growth. Okay, linked institutional, PBSA, taxes, rent control, exemption. Good. All the regional economy, employment base, economic overview, employment base, demographics per region, actually, nearby regions, university fundamentals, University of Ottawa, Carleton University, bed coverage. This is super, super deep. Supply, quite interesting. The off-campus PBSA, supply analysis, rental fundamentals, market context, some of the metrics, like super detailed information. The development pipeline, also citing the sources, PBSA pipeline, zoning changes, transit infrastructure. It also brought it, so quite interesting. Regulatory and policy environment. Okay. Yeah, given like the whole situation in terms of student housing in Canada, this is really interesting. Capital markets, transactions, cap rate context. Okay, that's fair. That's what I remember exactly. Financing, operating cost benchmarks, minute and product trends. And let's go back a little bit. So, student preference brought this. This is super, super deep. The rent growth outlook. Okay, fairly aligned with everything that I had studied before. Demand outlook, downside, okay. SWOT analysis, key investment drivers and risks. Okay, supply gap, transit infrastructure. Oh, these are good tailwinds, stable demand, favorable policy environment, transaction activity positive. Some investment risks, policy risk, supply, operational, market, and regulatory, all aligned with everything I had studied before. Some underwriting implications, okay. Revenue assumptions. So we do have here rents from this and their capital assumptions. DD checklist. Okay, operations, all of that. Regulatory. And other reference. So every source that it went through, it's here at the end. This is super, super deep. Quite impressive, actually. How he got the answer here and then the report. Let's do another thing here. Let's ask for the main competitors. Let's see if I can bring a rank comp set here. Meanwhile, we're seeing that he asked at the end there if I want to convert this into a 15 to 20 slide IC presentation with a house view on underwriting assumptions and a concise a risk mitigation plan for international student cap exposure. That's interesting. We're going to go back to this. But before, let's ask a few more questions here. And there we go. We got the competitors here. Let's see what Leni brought to us. Okay. For student housing, the first two, broken down by unit type comes from the property itself, from the deal itself, but let's see the other ones. Okay. Then you have what are the amenities, concessions, and sources. Quite interesting. A lot of these I had to manually look for, try to understand the market there, and I had everything in just a couple of minutes here. Great. A summary of the amenities, summary of the concessions, and actually a full detail downloadable Excel file and how he got the answers. Okay, so let's see what it brings to it. Let's open. Okay. All right, so if we click down here, let's see. Okay, it brought everything broken down by unit type, even beds per unit, what are the notes, pricing basis, sources, and date it was assessed. Really interesting. It's a full list of the competitors broken down by unit type, or bad type in this case. Perfect. So I have the Excel file for this. What is data coverage? Okay, let's go one step further now. And we need to do the underwriting, right? At least the first pass underwriting here to understand if returns make sense. Okay, here we go. Let's see the assumptions for the underwriting here. Okay, assuming 5-year hold, 5% going in cap rate, and a 5 exit cap rate. You brought everything again to an Excel file. Really good to have that on Excel as well if we need to share. But let's go here. So acquisition and pricing assumptions. Okay. Who gave the source and what is the logic? Stabilize it NOI from the SIM. Okay. Implied purchase price, trailing NOI base, etc. Okay. Property and operating baseline assumptions. That's quite interesting. Brought everything here. Revenue assumptions. Okay, rent growth, always important. So 0% in the first year, okay, to stabilize the asset. Then from year 2 to 5, 2.5%. Okay, it's pretty consistent with the market, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay, for the commercial rent, what is assuming, and even the 2% growth, okay. Vacancy, vacancy, credit, discounts, and concessions. All right, okay, bad debt, in place occupancy, so everything needed for the underwriting. Interesting. OPEX assumptions. It's really, really good. Capital reserves. Okay. Debt and refinancing assumptions. Okay. You brought a lot from the memorandum. The in-place debt. Okay. And exit assumptions. Really, really good. And what are the missing items? Okay, that's good. From the purchase price based question. Okay. It's based on the stabilized NOI, trailing NOI, or forward NOI. That structure, commercial lease details. So let's answer all of that so he can build the model. Remember, this was a deal that I looked at a couple of years ago, so that's why we're still assuming 2024. Okay, what about the commercial lease details? So for this, let's get all of these assumptions like this. So let's see how Leni responds to this, what Leni brings from this. There we go. Let's see the model it built in just a few minutes. Okay. Build the Excel and the writing model using the constraints I provided. It gave me the Excel file, so we'll go back to this later. What are the metrics based on the purchase price? Remember, I asked to do about the trailing 12 month, not the forward NOI. So, okay, like it kind of makes sense because if you're going from 72% occupied to 96%, you're buying based on trailing NOI. You're getting a lot of upside when you fully stabilize the asset, as we are doing here on the assumptions. Levered and unlevered IRR. Okay. Levered IRR ranges. Oh, he also gave me the ranges. Key assumptions. Okay. Great. Based on the trailing 12-month NOI. No other income, no utility recoveries, no CapEx plan, all the lease exit assumptions. Okay, great. He has some questions to confirm that maturity, stabilization path, and acquisition date. We're gonna use the default for now, what he already came up with, and how he got the answer. He used a lot of information on the SIM, some market information, and some of the other information that we provided. So from this, okay, let's download the model. Total beds, starting occupancy by the time of the analysis there. What would be the stabilized occupancy? Okay, average market range, rent growth, 0. Okay, in year one, 2.5% beyond year one, as we previously stated. Okay, all the assumptions are here. Let's see the next tab. executive summary, okay, property details, transaction, financing summary, returns and exit, okay. Source of funds, perfect, that matches the acquisition price. The revenues on a yearly base, okay, you can see there's a, okay, year 1, 2, and 3, okay, when we're buying this one, perfect. Now operating expenses, okay. Debt schedule, cash flow, how it's calculating returns. As you can see, it's like a juicy returns, and there's a reason why we're coming from like a 72% purchase base, at a 5% cap rate on that NOI versus fully stabilized at the exit in just 5 years. Also some sensitivity analysis, and also gives the model check. So it built everything from scratch, which is quite amazing in just a few minutes. And I think the next step, so let's ask for the following. Let's ask Leni to write. So let's see how Leni replies to this. Here we go. Now we have our investment committee memo. Okay. What is in it? Executive summary, market overview, competitive set, underwriting and assumptions, sense analysis, risks and mitigants, and DD plan. So let's see what is in it here now. Right, executive summary, base case returns, okay. Investment highlights, transaction overview, asset description, okay. Facts, commercial tenant, okay, PBSA in Ottawa, what are the universities, international enrollment, rental market conditions, supply pipeline, competitive set, okay, with concessions, underwriting overview, how it starts, when it stabilizes, OpEx and rent growth, transaction exit assumptions, debt assumptions. Okay, what was excluded from the underwriting, which I asked for, financial analysis, okay, NOI, the SCR projections, exit analysis, levered cash flow, base case returns, and sensitivity analysis. This is really interesting. It gave it all. Key risks, okay. As you saw, I didn't ask for all of this. It came with what an investment committee memo should look like, and it brought all of this, and even the DD plan. Start with leasing analysis, financial verification, tax documentation, commercial lease review, okay, 60-day, the 90-day, key question and recommendation. Proceed to DD phase. Interesting. What is the rationale behind it, the investment thesis behind it, and now the appendix. And if we download, let's see what comes with that. Okay, here's the Word document for it. Here we go, executive summary. What is the base case returns, investment highlights. So everything that we just saw there, it brings in a formatted source in Word, and you can just, add your logo there. Okay, great. This is super interesting. Now I have a full IC memo, and let's do one more step. Let's ask for an investor level presentation for this. And what is interesting is that the last question before, you can see here, it asks if I want to have an IC cover template, approval signature blocks, or have like a 12 to 15 slide deck. Really interesting. All right, here we go. A full investor presentation, downloadable file, what the deck covers through 18 slides. Okay. So let's see this last step here. So this is the 18-page presentation that Leni prepared. Let's see executive summary, the deal snapshot, location connectivity. Of course, I need to add the images here, market overview, supply and pipeline, competitive set, rank comparables by unit type, concessions and leasing environment, historical financial performance, underwriting assumptions, capital stack and debt. That makes sense. Return summary, sensitivity analysis, risks and mitigants, value creation plan, Nice. Recommendation, next steps, and appendix. So full-fledged presentation that I'm pretty sure it would take like a couple of days, hours or days to create. And we had it like minutes here. And this was another example on how to deploy AI to make your life a lot easier in real estate. And in just in a small amount of time, we were able to do a full underwriting of a deal. We summarized the whole investment memorandum. We created a deep market research with key investment drivers, demographics, etc. We were able to find comps for this property, rank comps for this property. We also created a model from scratch with formulas and sensitivity tables. We were able to create an investment memorandum in Word document. And lastly, we created an investor level presentation with all the main drivers and all the findings we had for this deal. So what it usually took me days to get through, even like sometimes weeks, calling brokers, understanding the market, and going here and there, we were able to do in just like minutes, in just a small amount of time, which amazed me. Like I did a better job today than I did 2 years ago with a lot more time that I had to go through everything. So I hope this was super helpful, and I want to see you again here in AI in real estate.